Hello and welcome to the programme. There could be a breakthrough in the way we treat COVID-19. Interim trials suggest a new experimental drug for severe COVID cuts the risk of hospitalisation or death by about half. If authorised by regulators, the new drug, which comes in the form of a pill, would be the first oral antiviral medication for COVID-19. Mark Lebel reports.
This is the first COVID pill. Trial results suggest it can cut hospitalizations or deaths by half.
The news of the efficacy of this particular antiviral is obviously very good news. The company, when they briefed us last night, had mentioned that they will be submitting their data to the FDA imminently. The data are impressive.
Pills were given to 775 elderly or medically at-risk patients within 5 days of them showing coronavirus symptoms. The data from a phase 3 trial showed 7.3% of patients on the drug were hospitalized compared to 14.1% of those who didn't take the tablets. 8 patients who were given a placebo or dummy pill later died of COVID, but there were no deaths in the group taking the pill. The trial was stopped early because the pill was so successful. The data still needs to be peer-reviewed. So how does it work? As coronavirus replicates itself inside your body, these antiviral pills trick it into using the drug, which then inserts errors into the virus's genetic code, blocking the virus from replicating. There are existing intravenous treatments, but this is the first pill, and as long as it's taken early on, would offer an alternative at a third of the price at $700 a treatment.
Accessibility is a problem with a monoclonal antibody. For this one, it's a simple pill, so obviously a lot easier to administer and a lot easier to administer as an outpatient as well.
Merck says it's making 10 million courses of the treatment by the end of the year, with 1.7 million of those already paid for by the US government.
Game changer is probably a bit of a stretch, but absolutely kind of helps push us forward, and that's kind of how we see it, is this moving back to a normal society, and this is just the next step.
US authorities say the drug is no substitute for preventative vaccines, but this is an exciting development, as the US drug company is seeking emergency approval as the first company to report trial results of a pill to treat COVID, as other companies also work on similar treatments. Mark Lebel, BBC News.
Well, let's speak now to epidemiologist and health economist Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding, who joins us from Washington. Dr. Feigl-Ding, thank you very much for being with us. Just talk us through how this pill works.
Yeah, this pill is quite remarkable. It's not like based on any spike protein like the vaccines are. It is agnostic to variants because it targets the molecular machinery of the virus and replicating. It adds lots of nonsense code. It completely corrupts the genome of the virus so it can't replicate. And that's the beauty. Then, even if the virus mutates, it could be still useful. People are now talking about this, that if we have another coronavirus pandemic in the future, this drug will still work for that coronavirus because it is agnostic to variants. And that, I think, is what makes it a game changer.
But this isn't preventative, is it? This is given to people once they've already been diagnosed with the disease.
Right. This is not like a vaccine whatsoever. It's not preventing illness. You get this after you test positive. But this is not like dexamethasone, which is for severe cases only. This is for early treatment. And again, the beauty of it is a simple dry pill form as opposed to IV intravenous monoclonal antibodies, convalescent plasma, remdesivir. All those are extremely invasive and needing to go to the clinic to get the treatment. This could theoretically be over-the-counter, although I don't think there will offer over-the-counter anytime soon. But the simplicity and the mass production is also much simpler.
Well, tell us more about that. How does mass production work? How much is this likely to cost?
Yeah, so the process for producing this is a very conventional process. Unlike monoclonal antibodies, which require these bioreactors, it's very tedious to produce monoclonal antibodies. But this one can be mass-produced pretty conventionally. And they've already licensed it to 8 different generic drug makers in India, which should be able to set it up to mass produce it very, very quickly. And, the $700 price is obviously not low, but compared to remdesivir, which can be up to $3,000, or monoclonal antibody treatments, which is $2,000, this is much, much cheaper. Although it's still not nearly as cheap as a vaccine, of course, which I want to point out that this lowers risk by half, but vaccine lowers hospitalization risk by 10-fold to 100-fold. So it's still orders of magnitude not as powerful as a vaccine.
In the early days of the vaccine rollout, there were concerns around delivery, storage of vaccines, especially the Pfizer vaccine. Obviously, a pill is much easier to transport. How might this impact COVID rates across countries in Africa, South Asia, Southeast Asia?
Yeah, you could transport this pretty easily without the cold chain needed for the vaccines, without even the freezer chain needed in many instances. And I think this could be one of those frontier-offered dry pills that are used in many resource-limited settings. Now, obviously, costs allowing, of course. But, again, if we're countries that don't have the vaccine available, this could be another stopgap. And, of course, there are the vaccine-resistant and the vaccine die-hard hesitant that we may not be able to convince them anytime soon, but hopefully, if they get contract the virus, they will take this and save their lives. And saving lives right now is really the most important thing.
Okay, Dr. Eric Feigelding in Washington, thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate it.